Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video we will be talking about how do you get out of the victim mode and how you become a creator of your life. First, let's understand how did you get in. In this video, you will learn what a victim position looks like and what you can do to get out of it. To become a creator of your life who has money, self-realization, relationships, family, and basically everything you want from life. Because a creator has this wonderful superpower to choose, while victims do not have that option, because a victim is a synonym to a child. And this is not some woo-woo, this is psychology. That is where the victim position is actually coming from, and I will explain you why. Because children always depend on another person. Children don't carry responsibility for their own life. Children don't have money. Children don't have relationships. And children do not have children. It is as simple as that. The child position is a synonym to a victim position because children really are victims of what is happening to them. And this is not said in some bad way. This is just plain psychology terms. What psychology means by that? We were all born into a certain family which had certain laws, orders, and rules, and we had to obey. We were kind of written into that system, and nobody asked us whether we wanted to or not. So maybe someone was abused in their childhood, but they couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't get up and leave because the child doesn't survive without its parents. Well, today, of course, we have some institutions, but I'm talking about the basics. And the basic is that most children grow up with their parents. And often children grow up not in the most functional families, but they cannot leave. They cannot make that choice. And they cannot carry responsibility for their own life. Their parents carry responsibility for their lives. And very often, adult is a synonym to a creator. I just want you to clock it. So very often, when we grow up, we become adults. We continue to live in our child's vision of the world. And the most simple example of that is a woman who is looking for a man who will take care of her, who will buy everything she wants, who will provide for her, who will pay for her. Usually women feel that way not because this is the norm or this is something you must aspire to, but because a lot of them do not feel inside this power, this strength to actually do that for their own life. They cannot carry the adult responsibility, so they're trying to find another adult who will take care of them. But of course, this is not only about women. Men do that as well. They just do that in some other forms. But today, the world is so yeah, this is not only talking about some gender. Now we are going to reflect. So please take a piece of paper and a pen, because right now we are going to try to bring certain levels of your unconscious mind to your awareness. You can pause this video and write down things that you recognize yourself in, what you see in yourself out of what I'm saying. You can write down your insights and basically any of your thoughts. You can also do that in the comments, but if you feel like it. Reflection is the first step to change, to growth in our life. So I have 6 points for you on how children, aka victims, behave in adult life. The very first and important and the most painful thing that you need to deal with is that child or victim interacts with reality out of trauma. Why? Because this is their automatic response to the reality. Look, so each of us in our childhood learned how to interact with reality in our own way. All of us were in contact with our parents in some particular way, right? If our parents didn't pay attention to us, weren't interested in our life, and only paid attention when we got sick or we got some bad grades or when something scary happened to us, we learned that this is exactly how we interact with reality, how we make reality look at us. So how it looks like. Some people know how to interact with reality through resentment, through pity, through guilt, through tears, through hysterical "you don't love me", through protests, through refusal to do certain things, to take responsibility for their life, to do good stuff for themselves, through the protests to get up early, drink your water, eat good food, do your sports. Why? Because you are in the protest. You are still in the mode of protesting, and you think that this is how you will get attention and this is how you will get love from basically this reality that you now interact with instead of with your parents. These are all our ways. Some people have many ways they interact with reality. Some people learn just one or two strategies that they go through again and again. For example, I know how to cry or to tell people to fuck off, or I know how to be nasty and mean. And whatever happens in my life, this is the strategy I will choose. And for example, if this is my strategy, I grow up and what do? I get offended at everyone and everything without any particular reason. We ride off into the sunset, we distance ourselves from other people. As soon as we start not to like something, we don't know how to discuss it, we don't know how to clear things up, we don't know how to interact, how to talk to another person, because we react to reality automatically, just stupidly, through the way we learned to do it in our childhood. But we're adults now. So do you see what the problem is? Or for example, when we're lying on the couch and we're thinking, oh, I don't want to do anything, I'm so lazy. That is also our way of interacting with reality. For example, your parents got divorced in your childhood and you did not want that. So you protest. Only it's a protest that you carried from age 5 to your 30s or 20s. Doesn't matter, but do you get my point? It does not correspond to the time of your life. It's not relevant anymore. But you keep protesting into this reality because you cannot express your disagreement in any other way. And children, they have no way of expressing their disagreement. They can only say no and stomp their little feet. That's it. But in any case, adults force children to do things that they don't want to do, and it's not always the bad thing. If they wouldn't force you to go to school or to brush your teeth, that wouldn't work for you still, you know? So we need to grow up and see things from a different perspective. But most people, they just learn that the world is fighting them and they need to fight back. And now I am here to tell you that you actually grew up. You are not a victim anymore. You are a creator of your life. Everything can be different here. This is your own life and it can have its own rules. Different rules, not the ones that you learned in your family, in your system, in your school. You grew up, which means your behavior can change. Your actions, your decisions, your rules can lead you to your own consequences. The fact that you're disorganized, you're undisciplined, procrastinating, or engaging in some sort of self-destruction, you achieve nothing. You accomplish nothing by this. That protest of yours to this life is not relevant anymore because you do not interact with those people you think. If you do not realize this, you will stand in the same spot while your life goes by and you are not even in your life, you are not inside of it. You kind of stuck somewhere in between the past and the present, where those things that you didn't want to happen happened. People who never managed to get anything done often stuck in another timeline. Part of their soul, part of their mental energetic shell, part of their subconscious, call it wherever, stayed somewhere back then, but they're still somewhere here on this physical plane of reality. And of course, you get this feeling that you cannot get anything done because you're kind of here, but kind of there. And the problem is that you're trying to solve the problem with the same brain, the same thinking, the same way of looking at things that created the problem. And that is impossible. Why don't we have money? Why don't we earn as much as we want? How can we find answers to these questions if we are inside child's thinking? If we see the world through the prism of some of our childhood resentments, your psyche, your automatic reactions brought you to the point where problem exists. And when you are trying to solve these problems with the same reactions and the same psyche, they simply won't get solved. It's just impossible. You need a person with wider thinking, with wider view of life, someone who has possibly already walked that path. It could be a therapist or a coach or some kind of spiritual mentor. Well, everyone has their own path. For some people, it's YouTube videos. That's what helped them expand. But you need to understand that your task, your job is to expand, to go beyond the frame, to understand how you behave for real, and to go above it. Look from above at your room, at your life, and understand that the way you behave, you just learned this. You learned this at some point of your life, at some age, and you can relearn. You can learn to behave in a new way. You can learn to behave differently. You can take different actions that will take you to different consequences. You will have a new result. But in order to start doing this, you need to start learning. By the way, subscribe to my channel if you like this video and give it a thumbs up. The second reason you are still in the victim mode is your childish attitude towards opportunities. We took it from where our mom left us 50 cents to take to school and have lunch. We grew up, but we perceive opportunities exactly the same way. I mean, we are waiting for someone to come and put a little coin on our table. Every day, the window of opportunity opens to each of us. The universe does this to everyone. Every day you have dozens, hundreds, for some people thousands of opportunities to change something in your life, to earn more money, to become a better person, to meet someone new, to enter a new community, to start a new life. But people don't take them. That's the first issue. And the second issue, that people do not create opportunities. That's a proactive position, creator's position. To have certain opportunities, you need to do something for it. You need to go out, you need to say something, you need to ask, you need to make a request, you need to show up somehow. By the way, if you feel that you're invisible, you can also write it in the comments and I will make a video about how to become more visible for the universe and for other people. But basically, we create a lot of opportunities with our own hands. But a lot of people still are waiting for an opportunity to be just a handful of coins left for us to have breakfast by our mom or dad, as if you're going to be just sitting at home and on your nightstand the opportunity will just appear. Or I mean the result of these opportunities will appear, because money is the result of opportunities. It's the result of you using opportunities, of you creating them, of you taking what is offered to you. Even this video is an opportunity. It is a huge opportunity for you to actually take that damn pen and paper and write down everything you're realizing now, have insights, start acting in new ways. And yes, it will be unpleasant. There is no sugarcoating, and I believe that you've had enough of that. If you're on this channel by now, you know that it doesn't work, and everybody who says it does end up in a really strange situations. So the fact that this is unpleasant is normal. It's part of the path, it's part of the therapy, trust me. There is no pleasant therapy. At the beginning, it is always very unpleasant. Every time you will move to another level, there will be some unpleasant things that you realize about yourself that needs to be changed in order for you to get to that next level. You thought that you were all great, and it turns out that you are not that great at all. You're just behaving like a child or like a victim, and that is the reason why shit keeps happening in your life, and that is never pleasant. The question is whether you take these opportunities or you keep staying where you are and keep doing nothing. And that is also a strategy. And the result of the strategy already exists in your life. You can look at it and you can see whether you like it or not. And if you don't, something needs to change. The third thing of the child position is called omnipotent control. I'll explain what it means now. Omnipotent control is a psychological defense mechanism that convinces people that they can control everything. In general, this is a very childish state of the psyche that we have from the age around 1 to 5, and we're supposed to grow out of it. Why do we have this state of mind? Because when we are little, we scream and someone comes and feeds us. We say anything, we cry, and things happen to our favor, usually. But if something shocking happened to you at that age, you could have gotten stuck there in this thought that you are a god and you can control everything. Because when you were little, as soon as you screamed, you were given food. And that is omnipotent control. When a child is born, he thinks that he is a god because everything happens simply because he exists. He just makes a sound and there is food for him. There he has been washed, everyone is smiling, everyone is bringing him gifts. This is kind of worshipping, and that is normal for that age. And of course, a child feels like God, and that is beautiful. That is a wonderful age that each of us go through. And this experience stays in our system and in our memory. But we have to grow out of it at some point. Because what are the consequences of dragging this into your adult life? You have a very heightened sense of guilt, sense of responsibility for everything and everyone around you. You have very high anxiety level. You do not trust that people can do it on their own. And eventually you come to a state where you have no energy, you have apathy. And the biggest thing, that you have a desire to get guarantees from life that everything will be okay. You go to fortune tellers, to tarot readers, astrologists, numerologists, and so on and so forth. Basically, you are a forever customer of that market. If you already have your own children, you will try to have total control over them, which will never allow them to grow up and become adults as well. The more we have anxious mother, the more there is a chance that at some point in some generation, someone will just break off, will be left in a total loneliness, in self-isolation, and in the collapse of all spheres of their life. For example, when you start living with another person, when you start building your own family, you need to understand that that person is not your property and you cannot control them. You cannot control their behavior. You cannot control the outcome of your relationship. You do not have guarantee that everything will be 100% fine, because every relationship is about trust, leap of faith. And of course, here are all the things with the arrogance, egocentrism, with things like I'm God and everything in this world happens because of me. Many women today rock this boat very well and pump up this trauma in themselves. They think like, oh, I started dating this man and he earned a lot of money and that is because of me. Or they think, I started dating this guy, he had a downturn in his business, and that is also because of me. And if something good happened because of me, that I'm a good girl, and if something bad happened, then I feel guilt. You're pulling the responsibility onto yourself for something that happens in other people's lives, as if you are capable of controlling other person's reality. But this is already like some complex content. I do not expect everyone here to hear me out or understand me. That's okay if you don't. Most likely a lot of you right now in a very harsh resistance to what I'm saying, and you're thinking like, no, I do control it. Everything depends on me. I am the creator of everything. And if you're there, please stay there. I'm not here to pull you out of there, by all means. If you do, however, have a desire to get out of that child's mode and become that adult who can create real magic and real wonders in their life, but not through controlling everything, then keep watching. The truth is that we do not control life. You cannot make it so that the sun doesn't rise, can you? And people who want to control everything usually are severe neurotics. They're severely anxious people, which I also kind of was in my time. And a huge pile of energy drains into this. Your body is constantly in this tension because you're trying to control the whole space around you with your own energy. Any sound, any rustle, anything that went wrong, you take it on your body. And of course, this has a bunch of not cool consequences. You don't know how to relax, you have anxiety, you want to do something with a snap of your fingers, you underestimate time that you need in order to do something and the efforts you need to put in, and you overestimate the magical way of things happening in your favor. So most likely you're standing in one point in your life and nothing moves. You're there for years and years and years, and you think that you're changing something by going to these fortune tellers and stuff, but in reality you're still there where you've been 5 years ago. Nothing has changed because control is an illusion. You're constantly walking in circles in trying to find this magic pill, to find this 15 minutes manifestation technique, but in general this is just a dumb waste of life, isn't it? And no magic and no wonders can exist in a life like that, because magic and wonders require faith. And faith is the opposite of the control. If we want to control, that means that we do not believe, we do not have faith. But that is a whole other topic. Fourth reason is that other people got luckier than me. I love this story. A lot of you are probably watching this video now and thinking, of course, it's easy for you to tell this. You're sitting there in your beautiful big apartment. It's already too late and I'm not that beautiful, I'm not that smart, and it's not gonna work out for me. And I live with my parents. And why her? She's not that smart, she's not that beautiful. Oh, look how many subscribers she's got, so it's easy to say it. Or, for example, when you look at your competitors in any field and you're thinking like, oh, why them, not me? I'm saying the same things, but I'm not heard and they're heard. I understand you perfectly, my friend. I was there too some time ago. And about whether someone got lucky or unlucky, trust me, you can look at it very differently. If I would be sitting here and telling you my sob story, you would be sobbing probably. But I really have no interest in doing that. So luck is a very philosophical question. And even if a person was born in some kind of great, prosperous family, what you think there is no problems there? The fucked up shit is everywhere. You can read about Kardashian family, about Hadid family. You can read what kind of diagnoses their children face, they face, what they had to go through when they were children. They're pretty rich, and you will understand that nowhere is there that sweet life. And your attitude towards your life, towards your story, and things that happened in your childhood, your perspective, this is a plastic thing. That means you can work with it. It can change. And the more conscious you become, the more it will change. You will see how this Indra's web is built. You will see this matrix of light and how everything is so complex. The universe, the fields, the interconnections of the things. Nothing happens for nothing. Everything has its cause and effect. And you will really get there if you keep expanding. The fifth point is suffering. The victim's position is the inability to choose. Accordingly, the victim endures. And adults, when they grow up, for some reason continue to endure everything that happens to them in their adult life. You suffer when you don't like a massage, you read boring books till the end, you go through some ugly and boring movies, you endure shitty treatment of yourself, you endure if your partner calls you names and humiliates you somehow, or when someone else chooses for you what to wear, what not to wear, what to eat, what to drink, and so on. An adult in the child's position doesn't want to carry responsibility for their own life, and accordingly he endures whatever happens to him. There are many different reasons why you do that. Some people are scared, some people freeze. Again, these are all learned reactions. An adult person doesn't endure. If you bring them a bad dish in a restaurant, they send it back. They don't eat it. It is that simple. The last point in the victim position, which is super advanced, it is really for people who are like 3 years in therapy. And I call it, this is my own term, neo-abuse. What I mean is the abuse of a new kind, a new time, a new generation. And it sounds like I think this is from my childhood. Everyone today has this Instagram psychological education where we know everything about our trauma. You read all the posts, you know who is anxious avoidant, who is who. And every time you do some bullshit, you can make this reference. I think this is because I was abused in my childhood. I think this is because I am anxious avoidant. That is why today I am such an abuser. That is why I'm going to call you names. That is why I'm gonna treat you like this. You kind of understood what is wrong with you. And now you walk around hanging on that thing and explaining everything you do with this. And people like that, they go to therapy not to change something or heal something, but to understand what's going on with them, so that later they can explain to their partner why they act like a piece of shit. Or so that later you can justify yourself. For example, when I was a child, I was told that there is no money in this world. That's why now I cannot earn any money because this is my unconscious belief. These kind of things. This is their goal. And people like that need to become aware that this is their actual goal instead of healing or changing anything. You need to understand what is the end goal of your self-development. Knowing what's wrong with you, explaining yourself to your group of friends, picking who is anxious, who is avoidant, what. Give yourself an account of what we started with. Ask yourself, reflect. Why am I doing this? That is what awareness and consciousness really is. It's not the fact that you know that something happened to you in your childhood. Okay, yes, you know, you understand, but what now? What's next? You develop yourself in order to change this, in order to change your reactions, change your behavior, change your victimized strategy, your mindset, not in order for going around and telling people, well, this is because of that. And from the fact that you have created this connection in your brain, it doesn't really get easier for you. This is also just a stage, and I'm not arguing that that is very necessary, especially at the very beginning. It's just a stage where we go around and we blame everyone. We blame our mother, our father, our parents, because this is the first time we actually admit to ourselves that what happened to us in our childhood was not okay. The fact that you were beaten up is not normal. The fact that you were abused is not normal. The fact that someone called you names is not okay. The way you were treated, that is not a norm. And it's very important for the people who went through this war in their childhood to acknowledge this fact, because a lot of them really live with the thought that that was normal. But when you understand that it was not okay, you take a few years of grieving to cry it out and eventually to bury it. And this is a very hard stage, but eventually you need to come out of it. You cannot grieve forever. There's this interesting thing that in order to actually live through some of our sometimes we need to say it out loud 545 times. We really need to walk around and talk that I was abused in my childhood, and we need to repeat it 100 times until we're finally able to let it go. And if you're in that stage right now, just be aware of it. You may be at the stage where this is needed and where this will actually help you heal, and it's really helping you move into that creator's mode of yours. And the thing is, that stage cannot be skipped. So if you're already going through it, that's really good. That means that you're actually moving, that something is changing. Because in order for your tears to end, they need to start. Because a lot of people who pity everyone around themselves, they have lots of grief inside of them and lots of tears that were not cried out. And these uncried tears are constantly being projected onto someone or something. Like you see a kitten on the street and that's it, you need to sob urgently and you're trying to save everyone. And I'm not saying that that's a crime, I'm just saying that be aware of why you're actually crying. What is the actual source of those tears? And I'm not saying that adults cannot feel sorry for cats and dogs and they cannot save cats and dogs or things like that. But what's important is that you start doing it not from a position of pitying someone, not from trauma, not from a childhood position that I haven't processed my trauma, that's why I am like this. They do it from a different state of mind, and that is compassion and love. If you have questions, please write them in the comments. If you have requests for the next videos, please let me know in the comments too. Thank you for watching this video and see you next time. Bye bye. A synonym, synonym, synonym.